What a pleasure it is to have my next guest on the show. He is one of the most soulful singers you'll ever have the opportunity to hear. Great singer, great songwriter from the Bayous of Louisiana. My bearded brother from another mother. It's Marc Broussard. Welcome to the show, buddy.
What's going down, baby?
You know what? Us bearded guys, we have to stick together. It's almost like we're in a fraternity, you know? We see each other, you know, you kind of give somebody the heads up, like, yeah, what's up, man? Nice beard.
Yeah, it's a pretty phenomenal thing. My managers were freaking out when I started to grow mine out, and I said, I'm going to become instantly more recognizable the bigger this thing gets. Give me a break, and sure enough, they came around. They love it nowadays.
I've had some interesting experiences with mine. The weird thing is when a male wants to touch your beard, it kind of creeps me out a little bit. I'm not sure if you've had that experience. I hope you have not, but
I don't allow anyone to touch my beard other than my wife for fear of them, because my wife is like a ninja. She'll just jump out of a bush somewhere and cut somebody. So I do it, for their safety.
I was down in the Dominican Republic, and they were absolutely enthralled because I just don't think they can grow beards. And I was going through baggage, and one of them literally, I didn't have an opportunity to slap their hand away. They said "barba" and grabbed my beard, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So, by the way, if you ever go, barba is the name, I believe, in Spanish for beard. So be
Or
aware.
were they just telling you to go see a barber?
Maybe so. Maybe so. So let's talk a little bit about you growing up with your father being a musician. Do you think this is what fueled your desire to pursue music as a career?
Well, it definitely informed my entire experience with music. But my father, had given up being a professional musician by the time I came around, long before I came around. And it really, my experience was such that I figured I would have a day job just like my dad, and I would earn money playing top 40 stuff on the weekends just like my dad. It wasn't until I actually started doing it for a living that I realized that it was possible. I don't know, I just for some reason thought that Michael Jackson's life was so far out of reach, and to a certain degree it definitely still is, but by the time I started doing it professionally, I realized that it was actually achievable to do what I can do for a living and nothing else.
Do you remember the very first gig that you ever had?
I do, actually. It was in Florida. It was in Destin, Florida. My dad would book a gig to help offset some of the cost of the family vacation every year down in Destin. And he found out I could sing in key probably 2 or 3 days before we went on that trip. And so he put me on stage that weekend.
When was it that, I mean, obviously your dad realized, hey, this guy's got a talent. That's what we as dads do. We're like, oh yeah, they're pretty good. When did you realize, hey, you know what, I've got something special here and I might be able to make a career out of this thing?
Oh, well, I was pretty proud of myself from the beginning, I would say. I had to eat a little crow along the way to get to where I am. But I was definitely quite fond of myself in my youth. And my dad likes to tell the story about having dinner gatherings, and I'm 7 years old, and I just stand, all the kids are playing, and I'm just standing next to my dad holding an acoustic guitar. And I'll stand there for 20 minutes, and finally somebody will say, "Oh, Mark, do you play the guitar?" And I said, "No, my daddy does." And I'd shove the guitar over to my daddy just so I could get a chance to sing to him.
Did you ever have a time where, middle school or so, you were trying to get in with that lovely lady that you had your eye on, and maybe, you sang a Boys to Men song to her over the phone? Was there ever a time where you used that talent to your, advantage?
My wife she tells this story all the time, as often as possible, about how her ex-boyfriend was dumb enough to give me her phone number after showing me her photograph. And I gave her I gave her a call, and as soon as she picked up, I started singing to her. she had no idea what the heck was going on and said, "Stop singing." But that was the only game I had for forever, man. I mean, I still don't have much at all.
You know what? If I could sing the way that you do, I would not say I had just a little bit of game. Because that's a big game right there. I believe that most women love a guy that can play guitar and can sing. And guess what?
Yeah, my girl was unfazed, brother.
Oh, she's a tough cookie to crack. See, I can't do either one of those, so I just got really lucky, is what I got. I really out kicked my coverage on this one.
I did the same, but I tell you what I did to land her. Every day I walked her to class, and outside of this particular building, there was a big old row of holly bushes, and I would pretend to trip in front of everybody there, and I would trip right into those holly bushes and get myself covered in pickers, and it made everyone else laugh. I did it every day, every single day without fail.
You do have, see, you have a comedy game going on. Don't hey, you're trying to muff it here. I see you. You know, speaking of out kicking our coverage, I'm gonna apologize for the question I'm about to ask you, because it's gonna hurt really bad. NFC Championship game, New Orleans versus the LA Rams. Here's the question. This is gonna be a great question. You're gonna remember this one for all time. Would you donate a large sum of money to pay for LASIK eye surgery for the referees for that game?
I would donate a large sum of money for a whole loads of things for that referee. But it's football, man. You know, it really broke my heart, because Drew Brees is such a class character, and having him lead this team all these years has been a joy to watch. It's been a real joy to be a fan. You know, and he handled this whole thing with a lot of class. So I'm going to take his lead and take the higher road.
Before we go to our break, I have a personal friend here that lives in North Carolina. He is from Louisiana, and he has an apartment in New Orleans so that he can go back and watch every New Orleans Saints home game. He travels from North Carolina to New Orleans and stays in that apartment. This guy I'm talking about, you guys are fans. I'm telling you. Big time.
That's a real whodot right there.
That's hey, and you know what? I can do nothing but show love for that. That's phenomenal right there. We're going to go to a break. I'm going to give you a song off of Marc's 2008 EP called Must Be the Water. The name of this song is Try Me, and you are here with Marc Broussard on Hazy's Hard Drive.
I know I might look like just a regular guy. Look a little deeper and you might be surprised. Rough around the edges like the cuff on my jeans. Stay a little longer and you'll see what I mean. How you know I'm not the one supposed to keep you warm at night? You came in with Mr. Wrong, you could leave with Mr. Right. Try me, could I might be just the thing you need. Everything you wanted, girl, you won't be disappointed if you try me. Come on, try me. Love to meet your mama just to see for myself. She must be a special lady 'cause she raised you well. Love to meet your daddy, maybe shake his hand. Look him in the eye to let him know I'm a man. I can be your confidant, be everything you want, be the Come on, try me. Say you search for 7 seas, north, south, west, and east, but I bet you never seen the likes of me. No, girl, your search is over. You're looking at your four-leaf clover. Once in a lifetime opportunity. Baby, please try me. Come on, try me. 'Cause I might be just the thing you need. Everything you wanted, girl, you won't be disappointed if you try me. Come on, try me. Try me. Try me. 'Cause I might be just the thing you need. Everything you wanted, girl, you won't be disappointed if you try me. Come on, try me. Come on, try me, baby.
Welcome back to Hayes' Hard Drive, and joining me today has been Marc Broussard, and as you can tell from that last song, he brings the soul, he brings the funk, and he's got a really awesome beard. Marc, thank you so much for taking the time out to join us on the show today, big guy.
Pleasure to be here, brother. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the music. We've had a little bit of laughs, some giggles, but I really want to just touch on, not only are you just a phenomenal singer and musician, but man, you are one heck of a songwriter. For example, the song we just heard, Try Me, songs like Home, Rose All Day off of your newest album. Do you have a process that you personally go through to write a song, or is it as it comes to you, you just begin to write things down?
Well, it depends. I think for every song, you know, I want to try to tap into a muse. Sometimes the muse comes and finds me. It's happened on more than one occasion where I've been zapped with a song, and I've literally been, you know, forced out of bed and grab the guitar and grab a computer and just kind of sit down and get quiet and pay attention to the things that are kind of streaming in. Other times it takes a little more effort, and you get in a room with some guys and you hope that you can get an idea out. Maybe we sit down and talk for a little while about what's been going on in life. Usually I have some sort of a premise. I've also got a ton of starter ideas on my phone that I'll pull up in a session, and we can kind of start something and work on something there. So there's a few different ways to approach it. I think ultimately at this point, I feel pretty good about my ability to get in a room with pretty much anybody and come out with a decent song and no more than a couple of hours or so.
You know, speaking of your ability to write songs, you were invited to the 30A Songwriters Festival in January. And let me just throw some names out there so that you all can get a little perspective of who was there. We have guys like Jason Isbell, John Driscoll Hopkins from Zac Brown, Roseanne Cash, Daryl Scott, Edwin McCain, Jeff Hanna from the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, Mac Powell from Third Day, Steve Earle, Susie Bogus. I could keep going on, as well as Marc Broussard. These are big-time songwriters, and I know it had to be a real honor for you to be invited to this multi-day, multi-artist festival in January.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, I've worked with a bunch of the folks that have done the festival before, and I've got lots of friends that have performed there and gone as fans. For years now, I've heard about it, and I've wanted to be a part of it, and we finally got the invite, and it was an absolutely spectacular experience. We had 2 amazing shows. I don't get to play by myself very often these days, so it was a little nerve-wracking to get up on my own, but the audience seemed to dig it. The feedback has been really great since then, and hopefully we get invited back.
If you want an opportunity to see what Marc was talking about, I was perusing his Facebook page. You can go there. There was a video posted of him in January performing live at the 30A Songwriters Festival, and I'm sure there's some live video as well on YouTube if you were to look there. Not only is he a great songwriter, but I mentioned that he is a great singer. You have 2 cover albums. The name of those albums, SOS Save Our Soul and SOS 2 Save Our Soul, Soul on a Mission. What inspired you to do these 2 albums?
Well, they're really different motivations for the 2 different projects. The first was out of desperation, quite honestly. I got dropped from my record label after having just recorded a record that was not going to be coming out, and they weren't going to let me take those recordings. So since I didn't have enough time to go and back into the writer's room before recording another project, we just jumped into the studio and cut a bunch of old 60s and 70s soul music. Fast forward almost 10 years, and I basically had some bit of a crisis of conscience, and a buddy of mine put me on blast. He said, "Hey man, you always talking about politics and policy and all these problems in the world, and you think you can solve, but I don't really ever see you doing anything." And I really was. He was right. I was just kind of throwing my noise into the echo chamber. So I had a bit of a crisis, and I checked myself and started meeting with people and started reading about charity work, and founded the SOS Foundation with the mission of making these covers records to raise money, because all those years that I was on major labels, I never saw a dime from my record sales. When I went independent, all of a sudden there's this influx of revenue that I never really relied on. My family didn't need it because we never saw it. And so to fix the karma, if you will, on that money, that those record dollars that kept the lights on in office buildings and apartments in New York City and Los Angeles, instead we focused those dollars on the helping people that are living on the streets throughout this country. And so we partner with singular groups that we find that are doing incredible work. SOS 2's partner was a group called City of Refuge, based out of Atlanta, that deals mostly with homeless women and children, that boasts a 90+% success rate with getting people permanently off the streets. And we were able to raise some $20,000 last year, or over the course of the last couple of years. We've got an SOS 3 coming out this year. It's a lullabies album that comes with a children's book and a stuffed animal as well. And we're raising money for a children's hospital that's under construction in Baton Rouge right now.
What an absolutely phenomenal story. You know, do you, as an artist and as someone who has the opportunity to go out and affect people in a positive way, do you feel like that is something that all artists have the obligation to do, to give back the way that you're speaking as though you just gave back?
Well, I skipped over a crucial part of that story. When I started reading about charity work, all of the literature said, expect to be told no over and over again. And so I decided to put a board of directors together, and I called up 3 people, and all 3 people said yes, including a guy that had never met me before, maybe didn't know me very much at all, but he said yes. He was a city council member that served the most underserved district here in Lafayette, Louisiana. And once I had those 3 yeses after all the literature said expect to be told no, I knew I was on to something. I think what it is I've spent a long time communicating with my fans honestly and authentically. So when I told them that I had an organization that was doing incredible work, they believed me. They got behind the project sight unseen, especially because it came with a record, something that we already did together. It was a piece of business that already existed between us. So I don't know, man, it just worked. And my managers were reluctant at first, but I told them, just trust me on this. And they obviously got on board after seeing what this thing really turned into.
On the second album, you know, obviously you have 2 songs that you brought in some pretty big artists in J.J. Grey and Huey Lewis. that's a testament right there, because they're willing to join you in this journey of not only coming on recording, but being a part of giving back to your community.
Those guys are old friends, and they did me a real serious solid jumping on that project. They didn't ask for any compensation at all. They took their time. They got their own studio time and knocked it out of the park for me, and I can't thank them enough. But that's the goal, is to kind of seed this model and this idea into my industry, and hopefully we can send a world full of charity dollars through these kinds of records to a whole host of different projects.
Marc, when can we be looking for the SOS 3, the lullabies that you mentioned?
That's a good question. The news of that release should be coming fairly soon, so stay tuned.
Well, I know that with a 5-year-old, that the music and things of that nature, my son loved and loves still those things. So if people, be on the lookout, if you have kids, this will definitely be something that is awesome, because I can guarantee you the SOS Save Our Soul, the very first one, and SOS 2, they're out of this world. And I want to move into more talking a little bit about your 2017 album, the one that our newest release, Easy to Love, and listening to all of your music. And I mean, we're going back to what, 2004? Was that the first release that you had in 2004?
That was the first major release. We had an independent release right before that in 2003.
Yeah, there's been some EPs, there's been live albums, obviously the 2 cover albums. Do you feel like that this Easy to Love album is kind of like a journey through the career of Marc Broussard musically?
That's not a bad way to put it. I think that this record is definitely my best foot forward in the last several outings. I'm very, very proud of this record. I think we pulled together a beautiful project on very little notice, and what seemed like it wasn't started as a record project. We started writing that record as just a sync project. We wanted to go and record some songs and try to pitch them to film and TV. But after we sat in the house for 3 days in Carmel and got in an Airbnb and just kind of wrote as a band, we felt really, really good about the material that we had. We pulled together some covers that we thought were well undercovered, and dug through my old catalog and kind of fleshed out the rest of the project. Knocked it out in 2 different phases with 2 different producers and 2 different studios. It was a very, very different project to pull together. But I think it really embodies the spirit of everything that we've been doing since I went independent, and that's just using our creative output to get over the challenges that we used to throw money at whenever we were on record labels.
It certainly is a well-rounded album. And, I feel like when you put a new album out and someone can see that there is, here's the journey and the artist is growing, it makes me very excited, because you can't wait for the next album to come out. It's almost like you listen to that one and you can't wait for another one to come out. And other than the SOS 3, are you currently working on any new music of your own?
There's already scheduled releases. This will be the most releases I have in a single year by far. We've got a home re-release coming with a B-side and some tracks from my father and I acoustic in the studio. And then we've got the SOS 2 album as well. I've got a side project that I've been trying to get off the ground that I think we'll probably be able to get over the finish line with this year as well. So, yeah, man, I've never been more inspired. I think we're just getting on stride.
You not only are touring, you are recording, and as I've talked about before, you're a very, very busy person, and you are married and you have 4 kids. And How does Marc Broussard do all of this?
Very, very carefully. I have an incredible wife who absolutely kills it for me at home and makes sure that everything is just absolutely perfectly tended to. In fact, we were watching that show Tidying Up the other day, that Marie Kondo thing that everybody was talking about on Twitter. And I realized that I think I married some version of Marie Kondo, the Cajun Marie Kondo, because I just come home and everything's taken care of. So all I got to worry about is what happens at work.
You know, I think with musicians that if you don't have somebody there backing you and that type of support, it's very difficult for you to be successful. You know, it's always about what's going on at home and who's there supporting you. So,
no doubt, brother. No doubt about it. I've been with my wife now almost 20 years. We met in high school, and I can't thank her enough for putting up with my old crazy booty.
Well, you know what? We can't thank you enough for joining us here on Hayes' Hard Drive. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you, learn a little bit more about you and your music, and we're really looking forward to all the new projects that will be coming out here in 2019. This one is off of Marc's newest album entitled Easy to Love. It's called Rosé All Day. We've been talking with Marc Broussard, and you are listening to Hayes' Hard Drive.
Well, baby, you've been on my mind. I think about you all the time. Oh, I wanna see your face. That don't make me wait. And even when I go to sleep, I can see you in my dreams. Let's make it a reality. Gotta feel you next to me. 'Cause when the sun goes down and the moon is high, we'll be chasing stars till the morning light. Come on, fly with me. Take a ride with me. And it feels so good to break away. Drink champagne, rosé all day. Come on, fly with me. Get high with me. And now I got you in my arms. This is where we both belong. Oh, just you and I. Endless summertime. And maybe when the sun comes up, maybe we should push our luck. Oh, and just double down. Hit me with another round. 'Cause when the sun goes down and the moon is high, we'll be chasing stars till the morning light. Come on, fly with me. Take a ride with me. And it feels so good to break away. Drink champagne, rosé all day. Come on, fly with me. Or get high with me. So high. When the sun goes down and the moon is high, we'll be chasing stars till the morning light. Come on, fly with me. Take a ride with me. And it feels so good to break away. Drink champagne, rosé all day. Come on, fly with me. Or just